What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ringside Warriors. I'm your host, Chris, and today we talk about all of the shows that took place directly after the Royal Rumble 2024, and boy, oh boy, a lot of news has dropped this week. The community has definitely been very, very alive. Let's call it that for now. This past weekend with a lot of the developments by the end of the week. And yes, we are going to talk about that at the end of the show. I decided to go through the shows first, and then when we get to SmackDown after that, talk about the news that I'm sure everyone knows I'm talking about. It's been literally all over the internet on X, or Twitter, if you want to still call it Twitter. It's been on X, it's been all over social media, and it actually led to one of the highest downvoted, or I'm sorry, thumbs down video in WWE YouTube video history. And this is being recorded on Monday night. So as I'm recording this, Monday Night Raw is about to start. By the time this is uploaded, it'll probably be when Monday Night Raw is over. I'm going to get better at recording these on Sunday, so the videos go up before Raw at least. And the reason this is being recorded late is because NXT had Vengeance Day, and I didn't even get to finish watching Vengeance Day. However, I do have all the results. I will get better. When it comes to NXT, though, as you all know, I'm still getting used to NXT, so I'm slowly getting into it. But we will talk about the results for NXT. And because of the news, though, what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be changing up the formula for this episode, and this episode only. I'll be doing Monday Night Raw. We're going to go into NXT. Then we're going to go into NXT Vengeance Day. We're going to talk about the results. Then we're going to go into SmackDown, because once we finish SmackDown is when I'm going to be going into my thoughts on the developments from Raw to the ending of SmackDown. So really quickly, though, before we do start, I do want to mention that as of last week, Ringside Warriors is now available not only on YouTube, but the audio version is available on Spotify, iTunes, through Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, which Amazon Music, I'm surprised they actually have podcasts on Amazon. I did not know that. And Pandora. We are all over the podcasting world now, and I'm excited for that. And any future podcasts I do will also be added to the podcast series, or whatever you want to call it, the podcast profiles. But for right now, Ringside Warriors is the only podcast I've got. So all the episodes are live. All 4 episodes previous are now live on there right now. How we're going to do it is when the video goes live on YouTube, directly after that, I will upload the audio version to all of, well, all I have to do is upload it one place and then it goes everywhere else. But the audio version will be available soon after the video version is released on YouTube, because as you all know, I like to premiere these on YouTube. And then after that, audio will be everywhere. So this is actually episode 5. I don't know if I mentioned last week that it was episode 5. I made a mistake. I was going to do the Royal Rumble separate. Decided not to. Forgot to renumber the episode, and I accidentally called it 5. This is the official 5th episode. I can talk. I really can. So let's waste no time. Let's get into Monday Night Raw. So one of the changes for Monday Night Raw is Pat McAfee came out at the very start of the show. He is now part of the commentary crew, which I think is great. I think he'll be a great addition to the commentary crew. He was this Monday for sure. And the show opened up with CM Punk coming out and talking about his injuries and how he's not going to make it to Mania. He's not going to be around for a while he heals up. Drew McIntyre comes out and, of course, says he's happy for it, which, again, pushes and finalizes his big heel turn, because he ends up turning on CM Punk and attacking him. Sami Zayn comes out, and this sets up for the main event of the night, which is going to be Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. So we won't be seeing CM Punk for a while. Remember this for later on in the show when we finish all of the matches. So we get a Judgment Day segment, a very short one, where Damian Priest says they're going to get the job done. They're going to get the Judgment Day back to the way it was before. Finn Balor and Damian Priest defended their belts against DIY and successfully defended their belts. They won. And soon after that, they had a follow-up segment, which I liked a lot. They called out R-Truth. And basically, R-Truth, tried, we were getting that funny segment again. And then Damian Priest is like, look, dude, I love you. You're funny. You're really funny. You're great. But you're not part of the Judgment Day. And because I like you so much, I'm not going to do what's about to happen. I'm going to let somebody else do it. And JD ends up jumping R-Truth, and Judgment Day ends up attacking R-Truth. Miz comes in to try to save him and ends up getting his he ends up getting attacked as well and taken down. This is probably setting up for the Miz and R-Truth teaming up and going after the tag belts. The only thing I'd like to say about the tag belts is I would love to see at some point somehow the tag belts separated again, and the SmackDown championships on SmackDown and the Raw championships on Raw. Having them unified is, again, there was a reason why there were 2 sets of belts at one time. Now there's only one, and that means Judgment Day can go and come from Raw or SmackDown as they please. And this was one of the reasons why they separated the World Heavyweight Championship. So this way, Roman stayed on SmackDown, and right now Seth Rollins is the champion on Raw. So we have a champion on Raw and a champion on SmackDown. Though there are rumors about that being unified, and I'm definitely not for that. But anyway, we got a Cody Rhodes segment where he was talking about WrestleMania, winning the Royal Rumble 2 times in a row, how he was going to finish his story finally, and then Seth Rollins came out. And Seth Rollins is like, why do you want to go after Roman? You did that. You saw he cheated. You know he always cheats. He's pretty much going to do it again. You're going to get screwed. Why not challenge for my title? It's a better title. It means something. He basically pumped up the heavyweight championship and said, why not? Let's have a match. Let's have a big match. Let's do something bigger than what Roman would do. I mean, at this point, that's a Hollywood belt, blah, blah, blah. And Cody says, I'll think about it. And he walks off, and that's it. And, we all, at this point at least, knew Cody was going to be going after Roman, because that's how the story ends, how his story is supposed to finish at least. We then had Kofi Kingston versus Gunther. Gunther retained his belt. Of course, Xavier Woods came out. There was a fight. I feel like they're promoting the New Day, and Big E might be coming back at some point. I know that was trending on Twitter at the beginning of the week. It would be great to see the 3 of them together again versus Gunther and Ludwig, and I forget what the other guy's name is. It would be nice to see a triple tag team again. It would be nice to see the full New Day back together. Then had a Bayley segment where Rhea comes out to talk to Bayley about, you don't want to choose me. Ends up Nia Jax comes out, attacks Rhea. Obviously, this is where they're going with Rhea. Rhea's going to end up fighting Nia probably at WrestleMania. We'll talk about Bayley on SmackDown, because Bayley mentions, I'm going to make my choice on Friday on SmackDown. And she kind of sneaks out of the ring. And then we got the main event, which was Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre. I've got to say that, just like with the Rumble, it was my favorite match. I loved it. Blow for blow, move for move. It was a crazy match that was only ruined by how it ended. Drew McIntyre going for the low blow and getting the pin on Sami Zayn. It was a great match up until that point. Very disappointing ending. I much would have rather Drew McIntyre. I mean, again, this is helping push the agenda of his heel turn, but I just feel like we were kind of a little screwed there with the ending, but very good nonetheless. Sami Zayn, man, it was great to see him wrestling again, outside of the Rumble, of course. All right, now we go into NXT, both NXTs. NXT, we started with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes versus the LWO. They won, which sends them off against Braun Breaker and Corbin for the Dusty Rhodes, tag team champions. We had Ova Femi came out during this for some reason to beat up on the LWO because they're friends with Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee came out to stop the attack, and Femi ended up powerbombing him and overpowering him completely. We had Roxanne Perez versus Tatum Paxley, which is basically the women's champions. It reminds me a lot of Trish Stratus back when she had what's her name that was obsessed with her. So Tatum Paxley is very obsessed with the women's champ. Roxanne wins. Tatum Paxley, of course, is a sore loser. Women's champion comes in and or Valkyria comes in, and yeah, we get like that little stare off promoting once again the pay-per-view. There was a hilarious back and forth for the rest of the night between Dijak and Joe Gacy fighting backstage in between. There were segments in between multiple fights and other segments. It was hilarious, the whole fight. I will say I like Joe Gacy. I really do. He's one of my favorites for sure now. We had Ridge Holland versus Lexis King. Lexis King wins. Gallus comes in and beats up on Ridge Holland, ends up attacking, hurting his leg. We had a Trick and Carmelo segment, setting up for the pay-per-view. And then we had a big, a Duke Hudson, Andre Chase, and Riley Osborne segment where Chase U was being shut down. It was a big goodbye. They had a big music video and everything. And then Jace Jane comes out. I believe I'm saying her name right. And T. Hale. And they end up reopening Chase U. They end up making a type of calendar with these women. And they're like, you can't close the college needs to be reopened again. And they're reopening the college. I have no idea. I'm new here. I'm new. I'm sorry. I don't understand any of this. So the Chase U is back open. Fallon Henley went up against Ariana Grace because there was a big backstage back and forth between Ariana Grace and Ren, the one that debuted last week on NXT. Fallon ended up losing because of Lash Legend coming out and interfering. There was an OTM segment promoting them versus The Family at NXT Vengeance Day. There was a Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker segment where they were talking about Braun Breaker being in the Royal Rumble and talking about, dealing with Trick maybe early. We had Von Wagner versus Noam Dar from Metaphor, and it was for the Heritage Cup. And Noam Dar won. It was however many falls you can have within a certain time limit, I believe. It was interesting, but again, I feel like Von Wagner got a little bit screwed. And then the night ended with a Trick Williams, Ilya Dragunov segment where Ilya is talking with, it's all a setup for the pay-per-view. And then Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin come out and beat up on Trick. Carmelo Hayes comes out to protect Trick. And it ends with a big stare-off because Trick Williams is going to be in 2 matches. All right, we're going to pause on SmackDown. We're going to run over to NXT Vengeance Day. Again, I didn't, unfortunately, get to watch the whole thing. I'll say the results at least. The Wolf Dogs, yes, Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker are officially called the Wolf Dogs, ended up defeating Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, winning the Dusty Rhodes Cup. That was what it was called, the Dusty Rhodes Cup. Dijak ended up beating Joe Gacy. The Family ended up beating OTM. Lyra Valkyria ended up beating not only Roxanne Perez, but Lola Vice ends up cashing in her contract and losing. So Lyra Valkyria is still the NXT Women's Champion. Obafemi ended up defeating Dragon Lee and retaining the belt. And then the big ending, Ilya Dragunov versus Trick Williams. I did watch this match. It was very good. Unfortunately, Trick Williams lost because, and I called this back on episode 1. I said this on episode 1. I said I had a feeling that Carmelo Hayes, it was being telegraphed a mile away, was going to turn on Trick. And what happened? Carmelo Hayes turned on Trick and ended up bashing on him with a chair and bashing on his leg with a chair. And this was Carmelo Hayes' big heel turn. So I called that one. Other than that, predictable ending. Pay-per-view is really good. I knew Trick. It sucks that Trick didn't win one of his 2 matches, but obviously the loss during the first match is what pushed Carmelo Hayes to finally make the heel turn. So now let's go to SmackDown. We're back in WWE, the main WWE roster. Logan Paul opened up the night talking about wanting to, winning the U.S. Championship. Kevin Owens comes out and says, yeah, you got me this time, but I'm coming for you again. Logan Paul's like, no, I'm going to go find somebody else. But you can deal with Austin Theory tonight. Austin Theory comes out. We get the Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory match. Kevin Owens won because good old Logan had the brass knuckles, tried to give it to Austin. He screwed up. Kevin Owens got the brass knuckles, knocked out Austin Theory, and boom, won the match. I feel like we're going to see Logan Paul and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. That's what I believe we're setting up for here. So we had two people that signed contracts for SmackDown this week. Naomi officially is a SmackDown superstar, and Tiffany Stratton from NXT has signed with SmackDown and caused drama already with what was her name? Her name was Michin. And it sets up for a match later on in the night. Oh God, here we go. There was a fatal 4-way tag team match between Pretty Deadly, Legado del Fantasma, LWO, and Pete Dunne, Tyler Bates, with the winner going off to Elimination Chamber to face another tag team. And I'm trying real hard. I'm sorry if anybody's a fan of Pretty Deadly, but oh my God. But the LWO was too busy focusing on Legado del Fantasma, and Pretty Deadly ended up getting in, most of the fight with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates. Obviously, Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne were able to put down Pretty Deadly, which is pretty easy in my opinion, and they ended up winning the Fatal 4-Way match. Congrats to them, and they're moving on to Elimination Chamber. Bayley had her segment. There was a backstage segment earlier where Io was actually talking with the Kabuki Warriors, and they were all talking about how they're going to take down Bayley because they know that Bayley's going to challenge Io now. So damage is done, by the way. Just saying. But they go out. They end up turning on Bayley. Bayley ended up knowing in advance. She caught it because she saw backstage she was hiding. And she pulls out a steel pipe, takes out everybody, and tells Io, I'm going for that. I'm coming for your belt. And once again, because the Judgment Day has the unified tag team championships for now, or the 2 tag team championships together now. But I'm sure that Rhea would have shown up there anyway to see what the decision was. Rhea was there, congratulated Bayley, but now Rhea has to deal with somebody challenging her at WrestleMania. We'll see what happens. But anyway, we had the Bobby Lashley Street Profits versus the Final Testament. That was a crazy match, and Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits ended up getting their, I don't know if they're managers or whatever, but they ended up getting a female wrestler joining them as well to counter the Final Testament's female wrestler. I forgot her name. She was newer, but she's been around SmackDown for a bit. Braun Breaker showed up. He is now debating between SmackDown and Raw. He's going to be making his decision next week on Monday Night Raw. Yes, I'm kind of pushing because I want to get to the end of the night so we could talk. Tiffany Stratton ended up defeating Michin. That was an okay match. I will say, though, I do see Tiffany Stratton. I do see her potential and looking forward to it. And now we get to the last segment of the night. Roman Reigns comes out and talks on what Seth Rollins was saying. He says, that championship will always be number 2 to this championship. This is the real championship. The other championship is a joke, is this and that and the other thing. And Cody should go after that belt. He shouldn't waste his time going after him. Cody comes out, says that to finish his story, he not only has to take that belt from Roman, but he has to destroy the bloodline. And here we go, everybody. The following sentence, which made no sense, he followed that up with, I'm going to do it, but not at WrestleMania. And that's when the whole wrestling world went silent. He said, but I mentioned I talk to people, and there's somebody that knows you very, very well. And out comes The Rock. Cody Rhodes basically took his spot versus Roman Reigns and handed it to The Rock and walked off. And the night ended with The Rock and Roman doing a big old stare off. There was a YouTube video later on. That's the one that got the massive thumbs down, where Roman walked out of the ring, continuing to promote The Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania 40. And now we get to the fun talk of the night, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? Because after that happened, the entire internet wrestling community went berserk. Now, before I go any further, again, I'd like to point out these are my opinions. Sorry, not sorry to those of you that are huge Rock fans and think that this is the most wonderful idea in the world. I don't. It ruined the fact that Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row. He was the winner of the Royal Rumble, had the right to choose, and we all knew he was going for Roman Reigns. He said it at the WrestleMania. He said it at the Royal Rumble, and he said it on Monday Night Raw, just to get smacked down, no pun intended, by The Rock, who literally was pushing backstage to get this match since he signed the contract with TKO and becoming one of the heads creative for WWE. He just said, this is what we need, especially after the Vince McMahon thing, to get attention off of that. And CM Punk is injured and Brock Lesnar's out and Seth Rollins is injured. We need this match. This match is going to save WrestleMania. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. And I'm going to try to keep myself calm, because I will admit I did watch somebody else who I actually am subscribed to on YouTube, and the passion he had is the passion I had on the weekend for this. And I'm gonna try to keep it down for the podcast though. But I will say The Rock came in, became lead creative, pushed super hard, and now he's going to be the main event for night 2, potentially, for WrestleMania. No. Yes, directly after this, social media went absolutely berserk. On X, the hashtag, I want Cody, literally springboarded to the top 5 hashtags on X the entire weekend. Recently, today, I Want Rocky has started to pull up. It started to show up, and now we've got an I Want Rocky, I Want Cody kind of like standoff or face off. Out of all the videos I've seen on YouTube since Friday Night SmackDown, out of all of them, only one backed The Rock. Only one, claiming they were the majority and everybody else who's complaining is the minority. No, sir. I'm sorry. Your video was 1 out of the 100 I've seen on YouTube. I literally was flooded with Cody was screwed. Rock ruins WrestleMania. Rock destroys Cody. Rock this, Rock that, Rock the other thing, and not in a positive light. No, sir. You're the minority. The majority is saying that this is not right. Now, again, this is where the fandom starts. You've got the marks or the people that are strong fans of The Rock. You got the people that are strong fans for Cody Rhodes. You got the people that are strong fans of finishing the story and the way wrestling's been going. And here comes the clash. Now, again, I side with Cody. I said this in episode 1. This is not a surprise to anybody. Cody Rhodes returning to WWE was my first ear raise to, or my first interest in watching WWE again. And I started watching his clips. Then CM Punk came back. And Judgment Day. The Judgment Day stuff with Cody was another thing that caught my eye. And Judgment Day got me interested. But it all started with Cody Rhodes. And Cody wanted to finish his story. This WrestleMania was supposed to be where Cody Rhodes finished his story. And don't start with me about Roman Reigns beating Hulk Hogan's record. Hulk Hogan was 3rd place at out of 3 other people. I'm sure it doesn't matter if Roman beats Hogan, because Roman would never end up beating the person in 1st place anyway. I forgot who was in 1st place. It doesn't matter. We're not going to wait for Roman Reigns to beat Hulk Hogan's 3rd place spot in longest running champion. He made it to 1,000 days. He's right underneath Hulk Hogan. That's good enough, in my opinion. I think he's held that belt long enough. He's hardly able to be around. I'm not knocking him for that. There are reasons why he can't be around, and it's understandable. His matches have become, from what I've seen, very cut and dry. Spear, Superman punch, bloodline interferes. It's formulaic. It's every time. And that is not a championship you should be, a run you should be proud of, beating Hulk Hogan. My opinion. I was ready for Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, where Cody finished his story. Roman lost the belt. Cody moved to SmackDown. And the new story begins. But no, The Rock, in all of his wisdom, and mind you, I do like The Rock. He was his it's either One Day or Day One. That was the whole promo I did for my TikTok for the first day. That's what really got me thinking about doing 365 on TikTok, was that quote. So again, The Rock came in though and threw his power around. And now Cody's out, Rock's in, and it's not fair. I don't think it's fair. And people can argue Cody had his chance. That was Vince that screwed Cody last WrestleMania. Cody was supposed to win last year. Triple H had it set for Cody to win. Vince McMahon at the last moment said, no, I want Roman to hold the belt a little longer to get to 1,000 days. So Vince screwed Cody. And now this year, The Rock screwed Cody. And then the rumors are flying around that Cody's not happy, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Am I going to sit here and complain about this all the way to WrestleMania? No. But I will say, I did say one thing on social media, and I will stand by it. I just started this podcast, and it seems every time I start something bad happens. I'm going to WrestleMania with this podcast at the very least. I want to go beyond. We'll see how much influence and control The Rock has backstage and what that does to WWE. Hopefully it does nothing. Everything moves forward and everything stays good. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed with that. If not, then we'll talk about it when it happens. But if we have Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania, I will not cover that match on the podcast. I'll mention who won. That's it. I am not covering, talking about, or anything The Rock versus Roman Reigns. That match should not be in the card. That match had no business being on WrestleMania 40's card. And that is my way of kind of saying, look, you want to do it? Go right ahead. I'm just a fan. However, I'm not going to cover it. Not going to cover it. So I'll mention who wins. And I hear The Rock is now not only pushed for the match, but now he's pushing to win the match. The Rock Roman's a part-timer. The Rock is even more of a part-timer. Okay? Not going to work. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Apparently, they've got this big story, and now as of today, Monday, they're claiming that it's a big work to work up the fans, and it's going to be all by WrestleMania. It's a big work that's going to end up with Cody versus Roman, or somehow Cody's going to end up in the mix, that they're just getting to the fans and blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. I think WWE saw what the fans' reaction to it was, and now they're scrambling to do damage control. Now they're trying to figure out, do we want to appease the Rock? Let me remind you guys at WWE TKO, The Rock pushed in the DC. I know everybody said this. I'm going to say it too. As a person who does who's in the comic book community, who does comic reviews, who's watched all the comic movies and deals with comic book media, The Rock, what he's doing now, he tried to do with Black Adam. And what James Gunn did when he came in, he said, we don't need Black Adam. And because of The Rock, everything was shut down with Black Adam. And he's not even Black Adam anymore. It's over. The same thing's happening again. The Rock already ruined the old DC movie universe. That needed to be relaunched anyway. Beside the point, though, he tried to take over and failed. Do not let him lead the narrative here. Because while some of the fans are happy and are all hashtag I want Rocky, a lot of the fans are not happy. And we know, you know, and I think Dwayne Johnson knows that the ending to Friday Night SmackDown and the thought of him versus Roman at WrestleMania 40, unless Roman has 2 fights, one on night 1, which will be with The Rock, and one on night 2 with Cody, and Cody wins the belt, it's bullshit. Utter, complete bullshit. And no one except the Rock fans and maybe a couple of regular casual fans are behind it. The rest of us are not. This will be fun to see develop over the next month and a half before WrestleMania. We've got 8 weeks until WrestleMania-ish. So we will see what happens. But until then, everybody, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. Links to all the social media are in the description below. Again, we are all over the iPod world now, or iPod, great. We're all over the podcast world now. iTunes, Pandora, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify. You can find this show anywhere now where there are podcasts. Till next time, everybody, take care. And I will see you all really soon in the next episode.